black people.
Oh my god, stop.
Oh no.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
How would you define the educational system of Latin America? Do you think it is influenced by politics or society?
I also think it differs by which country we're speaking of. I'm from Venezuela, and it's extremely influenced by politics. Like, there's public schools and there's private schools. The public schools right now don't work. Like, they don't function at all because our politics are messed up. The private schools, like, they kind of work, but there's a lot of things that influence whether or not they work because there's a lot of corruption. There's a lot of, like, danger. Like, people break into the schools. Like, just a lot of things go wrong. And all of that is due to politics.
Do you think the educational system mimics or tries to mimic the educational system of the U.S.?
I don't really think so. Not even the admissions process is the same. It's extremely different.
What about culture? Do you think the culture tries to mimic that the culture of the U.S.?
It depends. Politically, the political leaders of Venezuela are extremely against the U.S. So they influence the thinking of people of lower classes because it's a socialist government, so it's directed towards lower class people. And so they don't really want to mimic the American culture. People who are in, like, middle class or higher, they like the American culture, so they would probably try to mimic it.
How good or effective do you consider the universities in your country to be?
Right now, not effective at all. The private ones, kind of, but the public ones don't work at all.
Alright, the word thing. If you had one word to describe how expensive it is to go to school here, what would it be?
Extremely.
Why did you personally decide to come study in the U.S.?
Personally, I decided to come study in the U.S. because there's a lot of problems in my country right now, like corruption, and it's just not a good environment to study in or to live. So until the situation gets better, I would like to develop myself elsewhere.
How cheap is it to go to school in your country?
Private schools are pretty expensive. Public schools are free.
Do you think you're losing your culture by being here?
Well, I've lived in America before, and I also lived in Costa Rica, so I consider that I have, like, a blend of cultures.
Yeah.
Hola, me llamo Andrea Luna y soy de Venezuela.
How would you define the educational system of Latin America?
I think it's divided by classes, and depending on the money you can pay, the quality goes up or goes down. That's it.
Do you think the educational system in terms of university education mimics or tries to mimic that of the U.S.?
I think in the US they do a different thing. In Latin American they are able to in the US you are able to live in the university, while in Latin America you can study in the university and then go back to your house. So I think in that sense it changes a little bit.
How effective do you consider universities in your country?
I think that there are really good universities in Mexico, but the thing is that elementary school and high school don't do the public schools don't do a good job in preparing people, and so it's hard for people with low income to get into these universities or these institutions.
If you had one word to describe how expensive it is to study here in the U.S., what would that word be?
Big.
Why did you personally decide to come here?
Because the Spartans won the Rose Bowl.
Do you think you're losing your culture by being here?
Uh, I I don't think there's such a thing as a culture for a population. I think the culture is it's an individual thing, and so my culture is things that I absorb, and therefore being here it only I don't know it only makes my culture bigger and more diverse.
Alright, ahora quiero que digas tu nombre y de dónde eres en español.
Soy Elio García y soy de México.
Ok, soy Alejandro y soy de Venezuela. Nacho, por favor. Nacho, por favor.
Okay, if you had one word or a phrase or something to describe how expensive it is to go to school here, what would that be?
I don't know, overwhelming, especially because my currency is like getting worse every time. So really expensive, really expensive.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, so I will say I will say it's very expensive, but I mean also just as it's more expensive. I guess that's why we are here because we also get more food than back home.
How do you define the university educational system of Latin America as a whole?
Okay, so as a whole, from what I understand, I think there's some pretty good universities, at least in Venezuela there are. The one that my parents went to, I think they got like a really good education. Um, so as far as professors, I think there's some really good teachers and there's really good like theoretical education. Um, but I would say like one of the greatest advantages of coming like here is like the facilities. Like if you're gonna do engineering, like I am, there's like labs and more resources for you to learn from. Um, so yeah, from what I understand, it's like at least in like Mexico, there's really good universities. Um, Brazil, I'd have to say that they have really good universities too. And currently in Venezuela, the main problem is like the best universities used to be like public universities, but with the current situation, like the government's like not funding them. So basically, they've been getting like the same amount of money each year, but with the currency being like we have like right now it's like 70% inflation each year, so that's how much they're losing each year. So like teachers don't get paid like currently at Venezuela it's really bad. Uh, so yeah, I mean basically in law it's like the main thing that private universities are good at, but like everything else like public universities are the best. And right now it's like I said, teachers don't get paid, facilities are just deteriorating, and yeah, it's basically just getting worse every time. I have from my friends that go there, that graduated with me, a lot of them have like they're still stuck in like their second year. I'm a junior right now. They're still stuck in like their second year because they haven't been able to take a lot of the classes. Because I mean, professors don't show up. There's like no materials to work with. So there's basically a lot of problems. And my friends like will graduate in like, it's supposed to be 5 years, they'll graduate in like 8 years time because of that. And some of them are like already trying making plans to go like to other countries in Latin America, or maybe come into USA because of that. So yeah.
Why did you personally come here?
Personally, just to look for like opportunities outside of my country, because um, well, the main problems are violence right now in Venezuela. It's a like insecure, it's like one dangerous country right now, and other than that, financially, like it's really hard to live there. Right? So yeah, so basically, just looking for more opportunities outside my country.
Do you think you're leaving the culture of living here?
No, I mean I have so many like Latin American friends that I actually learn from, and yeah, I get to like play soccer, like watch soccer games, do like a lot of stuff that I would do with back home, and so no, I mean I'm actually learning from other cultures, and I don't think I'm losing any of mine. That answers the question.
Mi nombre es Eric Gutiérrez y soy de México, de la ciudad